Hi everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel of Get Set Law by IMS. I'm your mentor Sanjana Chauhan, and in continuation of the previous 3 videos that we have done to explain the passages for CLAT 2024 English language, I have brought the next video wherein I'll be discussing the 4th passage under the English language section, right? So without further delay, let's start discussing, right? Now this passage again, if I were to describe the manner of writing the passage or the writing style, this is a literary analysis of English literature, especially in the contemporary realm, right? So let's start reading the passage. Okay, in the realm of contemporary literature, the interplay between character, all right, so this is of significance. The interplay between character and setting is a nuanced dance. Nuance means something which has a lot of different tones and themes to it, right? Nuanced dance that shapes the narrative's essence, right? The setting, which is often described with painstaking details, becomes more than a character, influencing the plot and character development. So essentially, this passage is talking about how the setting of any piece of literature, it influences the plot and character development, right? It's not just setting, there is more to it. In that, it is very important, of great significance. Now, the author has tried to exemplify these ideas, right, through the examples given. So, consider the barren expanse of the desert in Jhumpa Lahiri's The Namesake, alright? So, author has given the example of the work of Jhumpa Lahiri, The Namesake, right, where the desert has been described as something very barren, right? Now, the arid or the dry landscape, it mirrors or reflects the sense of isolation felt by the protagonist, right? So if you see, this is how the setting is influencing the plot development, the character development, and the narrative. So the barrenness or the dryness or the aridness of the desert is nothing but reflecting the sense of isolation, right? So dry again has been correlated with isolation here, felt by the protagonist of the novel, right? So Gogol is the protagonist as he navigates his identity crisis in a foreign land. Notice how the barrenness is now nothing but, in fact, developing the plot further. The relentless sun and vast sands are not mere descriptions. They are very indicative and symbolic here. They are the silent witnesses to his inner turmoil. So, for example, what we can infer so far is that the description of the desert or the description of setting in Jhumpa Lahiri is a namescape, which is essentially the barrenness, the dryness of the desert. It only gives more element and more perspective to the sense of isolation and the turmoil and the tumultuous life of the protagonist, Gogol here, right? Similarly, the author has given another example to exemplify his points, right? On the other end of the literary spectrum, there is Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things, all right? For example, the lush, vibrant Kerala backwaters. So this is the setting of the God of small things. The lush, vibrant Kerala backwaters are not just a setting. They are a character woven into the fabric of the story. And how? Look further. The teeming, humid landscape, right, of the Kerala backwaters, they reflect the complex web of human relationships and secrets that unravel in the narrative. Again, the setting here is kind of inspiring the plot or the narrative further. This interplay is not just confined to contemporary literature alone. Contemporary is something which is currently happening, right, in the present. So this interplay of between the setting and the character development or the plot is not just confined to the present times. It also goes back to the previous eras as well. For example, in the era of Shakespeare's timeless tragedy, Macbeth, the airy is very weird, very strange, airy and foreboding. Foreboding here implies something which is like an ill omen or a bad omen, right? You're able to sense it beforehand that something bad, something very weird might happen. So the very airy and foreboding setting of the Scottish moors casts a dark shadow over the characters' actions. Again, the setting here is kind of inspiring the characters' actions. The moors, which are shrouded in mist and mystery, they serve as an ever-present omen of the impending tragedy. Note how the word foreboding here can be understood through this part of the statement, right? The ever-present omen of the impending tragedy. Okay? So this is all that the passage was about. Very easy, very descriptive. Author simply talks about one point and then he goes on to explain it. And then the author also offers two examples expanding on his very idea. Right? Let's now discuss the questions. Look at question 19. In contemporary literature, how is the relationship between character and setting described in the passage? Obviously, there is a very complex interplay between the character and the setting as for the passage, right? Look at option A. It is non-existent. Simply on reading of the non-existent part, you can very easily infer that this is the incorrect option. It is not, non-existent is incorrect. It actually, firstly, there is already a relationship existing between character and setting, and to call it non-existent would be a misnomer here. So we can eliminate A. B says it is a complex interplay where the setting influences the plot and character development. This is a correct option. This is just the statement I reiterated. C says characters and settings are interchangeable. Now the word interchangeable means that both can be used synonymously, which is not mentioned in the passage. So always, students, this is another key point for you to take from this discussion. Is that always be mindful of the different adjectives and the words, and vocab game for you as far as CLAT is concerned has to be spot on, right? We cannot choose C because interchangeable as a term is not implied in the passage. Eliminate C. D says settings are insignificant. Of course, they are of crucial significance, which is why the entire passage is written, right? So this again runs contradictory to the main idea. Correct option here will be option B. Look at the next question. In the novel, The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri, what does the barren desert landscape symbolize? It was really mirroring the protagonist's sense of isolation and inner turmoil is what the passage said. Now, let's look at if any of the options given here reflect that. A thriving community, absolutely out, right? B says the protagonist's sense of isolation and identity crisis because he was really exploring foreign lands, right? And this is where the identity crisis stems from. So this is very much in alignment with the things that are mentioned in the passage regarding Jhumpa Lahiri's The Namesake, right? So B is the correct option. C says a lush, vibrant setting. This is given in The God of Small Things, authored by Arundhati Roy. So it has no relation to The Namesake. So it's incorrect. D, a happy, carefree life. Of course, note how the protagonist has been very worried and stressed out given his inner turmoil and given the identity crisis, right, that stems from the newness or novelty of his new setting now. Okay, so this again runs contrary to the idea mentioned. So D is incorrect. Correct option here for this question will be option B. Look at the next question. What role does the Scottish Moors play in Shakespeare's Macbeth? So without even looking at the options, and this is something I did discuss, the Scottish Moors here indicate something very foreboding, very ominous and very airy. So these were some of the adjectives through which we know that for us to choose an option to answer this question, the option should contain words to that effect, right? Look at option A. It serves as a beautiful, serene landscape. Now this runs contrary. It's very foreboding, ominous, airy, weird. B, it has no influence on the character actions. Again, if we have to choose this option, we are literally invalidating the author's opinion here because the passage is written to emphasize the impact that the setting has on character actions and development. So, B is out. C says it is an ever-present omen of impending tragedy. This was also given in the last part of the passage, right? So, this is a correct option. D says it is a place for the characters to relax. Again, running contrary to the idea mentioned. C is the correct option. Look at the next question. What does the term interplay refer to in the context of the passage? Now, they are literally asking you the meaning of the word interplay. Let's look at the options. A lack of interaction between characters and setting. When we talk about that it is a complex interplay between the settings and the characters, it means that they are intertwined, right? In a way that both can impact each other in a way, right? So A is incorrect because of the word a lack of interaction. B says a complex relationship between the setting, where the setting influences the narrative, right? So this is the correct option. This is just what we wanted to arrive at. C says an insignificant connection between characters and setting. Obviously, the connection between the character and the setting is of significance here. So to call it insignificant, again, will be a misnomer. So we can eliminate this. D says a complete separation of characters and setting. These are very, very extreme options to choose, not given in the passage. In fact, running contrary to the idea given in the passage. So this is incorrect. So overall, this particular question is quite easy to answer. If you were to ask me in what ways can this question be made more difficult, the reason why this question is easy is because only one option stands correct. The rest of the options run contrary to the idea of interplay, to the idea of connectedness between the setting and the character. So if one were to make it more difficult, perhaps there must be 2-3 options that pretty much have a very positive connotation regarding interplay. So option A perhaps again can talk about how the setting has some influence on the character development. Option B again can talk about something along the similar lines. That is when the options become very confusing and it becomes a very Herculean task to choose the perfect option then. Otherwise, this question was quite easy to answer. Look at 23. Which of the following words best describes the setting in The God of Small Things? Now, in The God of Small Things, the author particularly emphasizes on the lush and vibrant Kerala backwaters, right? So look at A, it says boring, so this is out. Look at B, it says lush and vibrant, which is just what I said, also mentioned in the passage, and this is the correct option. Look at C, insignificant, that is not something that the author talks about. And D, dark and foreboding, this is about Shakespeare's work and not for God of Small Things. This again is incorrect. This is a specific detailed question, and B is the correct option. Quite an easy answer at that. Now we come to the last part of this passage, the last question for this passage. What is the main theme discussed in the passage? A, the characters in contemporary literature are not influenced by their settings. This is incorrect. The characters, in fact, are influenced by the settings is what the passage emphasizes. B, setting in literature is unimportant, right? Setting in literature is unimportant. This again runs contradictory to the idea because settings are of great significance in the passage, for they influence the character development, the plot development. C, and therefore B is also incorrect. C, in literature, settings can be as influential as characters in shaping the narrative. This is just what the passage emphasizes. This is the correct option. D, settings have no role in character development, again running contrary to the idea. So on overall, CLAT 2024 English language, and we're almost done discussing the entire, English language segment of CLAT 2024 with the 4th video here. Overall, it was quite easy. I wouldn't say overly easy, and most of the students scored up till 2021. The passages, and if I have to talk about the length of the passage, were also quite short. And no technical languages were also used, right? And most of the passages were quite easy to understand. The questions especially, right? They were all specific detail-based questions or inference-based questions. Hardly a question on vocab and hardly a question on figures of speech, right? So overall, it was an easy paper to solve. I hope you liked the video. I hope you've understood my pedagogy or my philosophy of solving the questions, how to approach such passages which are on literature, passages which analyze literature, passages on socio-political commentary, right? How to approach the passage and how to read the most important lines and essentially focus on understanding the main idea and also focusing on what needs to be inferred from the passage correctly, right? So if you have any queries, if you have any doubts about any of the questions that I've discussed, you can always ask it in the comment section. Thank you so much. Have a great day.